Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you a review and demo of the new Urban Decay Shapeshifter palette. So if you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts about this palette and seeing how I applied it on my face today, then just keep on watching. So Urban Decay released their Shapeshifter palette online. It is available at Sephora.com and it will be available in Sephora stores starting on May 25th. And they came out with two palettes, one for light to medium and one for medium to dark. And they based the two different shades based on their foundation range. So if you have an Urban Decay foundation, if you're 0.5 to 6, then you can get the light medium palette, which is what I got. I'm a shade 3 in the All Nighter and the Naked Skin foundation, so I'm like right in the middle there. And then if you're in their foundation shades 6 to 12, you can get the medium to dark palette. And so what this is, it's a contour palette and also a corrector palette. And I cream contour and conceal every single day. I contour every single day. So it's dual-sided, and there are creams on one side where you have contour, a corrector, or a couple correctors, and a cream highlighter. So there's 5 different cream products, and you get 0.07 ounces in each of these. And then on the other side, you get 4 powder products. You get 2 contour shades, like a setting powder, which is what I like to use, like a yellow kind of setting powder, and then also a highlighter shade. And in these, you get 0.13 ounces of products. So total in this whole palette, you're getting 0.87 ounces, so almost a full ounce of product. And I do love just the whole layout and the concept of this palette. There is a mirror on both sides, which is awesome. It was really convenient anytime I've been using this palette. And for me, all of the shades in here are incredibly ideal for my skin tone. This is a light medium palette, and like I said, I'm a shade 3. So I'm right in the light medium range, like right in the middle. So they all are perfect shades for me. So I was really excited to get this palette because I saw the shades online and I knew it would be ideal. I'm someone that does cream contour and color correct every single day. I know not a lot of people do. I barely wear foundation. I wear like the most lightweight minimal foundation, but I'll still cream contour and like color correct every day. And then I also use all of these powders every single day from different palettes. So this was like an ideal palette for me. It's so lightweight, so compact. It's the size like of a remote. It's very, very convenient for traveling. So I'm gonna get into all of the shades and swatch them. I am gonna insert clips of me wearing this entire palette on my face today. I'm gonna start off the way that I did my makeup today, which is with color correcting. So there's a peach shade and more of like a salmon corrector, and what I did was just mix these two shades together. I'll swatch them individually for you guys, but they're both like the same formula, just different shades. So this is the lighter peachy shade, and I like more of like a brightening corrector. You guys know the Becca under eye corrector is my all-time favorite corrector. And then here is the salmon shade. So together these are definitely an ideal shade for me. But honestly, this was the biggest disappointment in the palette for me. So a lot of people like powdery finishes and cream products, but for an under eye corrector, that is not the case for me at all. I like something that's more tacky, and when these blend out, they basically have like a powdery finish, and I feel like my under eyes look really dry because of that. So when I apply my concealer on top of it, it just makes my under eyes look a lot more dry than they've ever looked. They're not dry very naturally. So it does have a powdery finish, which I did not like. I like something that's a little bit more tacky, where my concealer can really grab onto it. I kind of think of my color corrector as like a primer for my under eyes. And this actually, I feel like it accentuates fine lines. It did color correct under my eyes, but the coverage was still pretty lightweight, where you can still see some darkness peeking through. With my Becca corrector or even my Pixie corrector, I do not get that at all. It does a really good job of like canceling out dark circles, and this was just kind of like a medium coverage where I could have just used a thicker concealer and gotten the same effect. And then with the powdery finish, just the concealer does not apply well on top of it. So that was definitely a big disappointment for me. Some people might like that it's more lightweight, but for me, somebody who color corrects every day, I did not like these, and that was a big appeal of this palette for me. So those were kind of a letdown, which was really disappointing because that's like a big chunk of the palette. And then next we have this like yellow tone shade. I just used that on my nose and a little bit on my forehead. And this is basically just like a cream color. It does have a powdery finish, which I don't mind because anytime that I apply a color like this, I applied it under my foundation today, but I also applied it a little bit after my foundation, just on top of my nose to cancel out any redness. And that's definitely fine for a powdery finish because I'll just apply a setting powder on top of it, or that'll be like the last step on my face. So this is just like a normal average cream color, nothing too exciting there. It doesn't give too much coverage. I have like a little blemish on my forehead. I had to use a different corrector to cover it up. So it is light coverage. I know the theme here is naked skin, but I could have used a little bit more coverage than I got. And then I went in with this cream highlighter. So I applied it under my foundation and I didn't really like that. I mean, I never really use cream highlighters, so I just wanted to see different ways that I might use it. And this is something that is more powdery too. It's very, very light. And it does have like a powder finish. So under my foundation, it basically dissolved into nothing. But what I did when I finished up my makeup was apply it like on the top of my nose, maybe a little bit too much. And then also my Cupid's bow and on my chin. And that's something that I really like. I like that effect. I like something that's really glowy without having a lot of shimmer to it. So that's a color I'll definitely use the way I did today on the center of my face after doing my foundation and everything. But for like a cheekbone highlight, I feel like there's not even a point of doing it because it's just so subtle that it's not really going to show up too much. I'd rather use something like the Milk Mars holographic stick that I reviewed for you guys recently. And then lastly, we have the contour shade, and it's so deep, but it actually is the best out of all of these cream products. It does have a powder finish, which is awesome for a cream contour product, because I always cream contour after my foundation and then I just apply a setting powder on top. So you guys will see it's very deep and it is more cool tone. It has more of an olivey undertone, which is very ideal for contouring. When I first blended it out, it does appear a little bit red, but I feel like I just am really aggressive when I blend out cream contour. But it actually has like a really nice natural finish on the skin. And I didn't apply too much, but it still actually did do a good job of cream contouring. So this was definitely a good shade for me and my skin tone. If you're more fair than me, you might just want to go in with a light hand because it can probably look a little intense. And then if you have a deeper skin tone, you can definitely build it up. I just really like this shade. So I definitely like the powder finish of the cream contour shade. I think that's definitely ideal for how I do my makeup. It kind of reminds me of the Hoola Quickie contour stick. They have a similar finish. But for a powder finish for the corrector shades, that was definitely a letdown in this side, which is kind of like half this palette and something that I would use every day. So it's definitely a big letdown for me. And then moving on to the powder shade. So all of these colors are colors that I would normally use. I was really excited to try these out. And one thing I told you guys on Insta stories, these powders, they are basically kind of like falling out of the pan. It's like they're not glued or secured in properly, which is something that's very annoying with high-end makeup. So these powders might get more loose with time, which is definitely not a good sign. And I actually did look up some reviews on the Sephora site, and some other people were saying that these powders came loose in the pans. It's not crazy, like I don't think they're about to pop out, but they might eventually, which is really upsetting for high-end makeup. So that's definitely something to keep in mind about the packaging with these powders. But I'm going to start off with this lightest shade. It's kind of like a yellowy neutral tone. That's something I use under my eyes every single day. If I touch up my makeup, I usually like reapply it down the center of my face. I love the one in my Lorac palette. Don't have it in front of me, but it's basically like almost all the way gone. And this is the shade that's most disappointing in this palette too. This shade is really powdery. You guys can see there's like fallout right away, and it just looks really chalky. And under my eyes, like I hate the look under my eyes right now with the corrector and then this powdery product on top. And this is the second day that I'm wearing this palette. I did wear it for full like 8 to 12 hours. But I knew I didn't like it the first day, and I just wanted to wear it again so you guys can see how I applied it. But I really don't like it. I feel like it looks really stark under my eyes. Like I can definitely see exactly where I powdered my under eye area. So That is a really big letdown on this palette too. I don't know if a lot of people use like setting powders like that as well, or just translucent powders, but personally I love like a yellow under eye setting powder even on top of my translucent powder, because sometimes like I still have darkness peeking through, or I just want to have some extra coverage. So that was the one letdown of the powders. The other powder products are actually really, really great. So I'm wearing the two contour shades today. I'm wearing this lighter shade mostly on my cheekbones. It is more cool tone. And then I mix these two shades around the center of my face, or the perimeter of my face. So the lighter shade is really creamy. It's more cool tone. It does have a little bit of fallout, but it definitely doesn't have a chalky consistency like the light shade. I really like this shade. I feel like it's cool, but it's not too cool where it's really harsh. It's just an ideal shade for me. And then this darker shade has more of a warm look to it. It kind of has a little bit of an orange hint to it, but it's definitely not super orange or anything. And this one is really pigmented. It's a lot deeper. Both of the shades are really pigmented, but they blend out really nicely. They feel really creamy, and they sit on your skin like really, really nicely. The first day that I was wearing this palette, I was outdoors for several hours, and they did end up staying up nicely on my skin. So those are the two contour shades. Those are probably the best shades and the best formula in this palette. And then lastly, we have this highlighter shade, which I actually really love. I'm wearing it on my cheekbones, down the center of my face. It's my inner corner highlight, brow bone highlight. To me, this is an ideal highlighter. It's just really like finely milled. It has like a pearl look to it, but it also has a little bit of a bronze hint to it. The first time that I applied way too much because I thought it was gonna be really, really subtle. I was preparing myself for it to be very, very subtle and almost like powdery, but it actually blended out really nicely and really creamy on the skin. So the highlighter is awesome to me. It's something that you can definitely build up to have like a really intense highlight, but you could also have it really subtle too. Like on my face right now, you can't see that down the center of my face there's like a ton of glitter or anything. It's something that could look really natural. So I definitely love the highlighter and the contour shades. I'm so disappointed with this light shade. I just keep looking at my under eyes and it's really aggravating me because to me, they just look super powdery, and then the corrector shades are duds to me in this palette. So basically like 60% of this palette is awesome, and then the rest is just like, it's okay, it's mediocre. It's not the worst, but it's like I'm not going to go out of my way to just use those products on their own. So I kind of have mixed feelings about the overall palette. I love the idea of it. The shades are perfect for me, and you could definitely mix them together if you have a lighter skin tone or a deeper skin tone. But those three products, the lighter shade and then the color correctors, that's something that might like make me want to return the palette, because I wanted to get this palette to have something that I could use just on its own and not have to like travel with a color corrector, a separate bronzer, a separate setting powder. I really needed an all-in-one palette that had a color corrector and contour shades. And I do already have contour palettes that I love, like the Lorac contour palette. And then I also have cream contour palettes that I love, like the Tarte Wipeout palette. And I'll leave those palettes down below for you guys because those are my favorites for cream and for powder. So because this is like half misses, I'm not sure if I'm going to end up keeping this palette because the other shades I really love, but the ones that I wanted to work the most didn't because I already have so many contour shades. I have so many highlighters in my collection already, but I have like 2 cream concealer or cream correctors. So for me, it's kind of like in the middle. I'm on the fence about it. It's not the perfect formula for all the shades that I really needed it to be the perfect formula for everything. So if you guys are interested in this palette, what I would do is just wait until it's in stores at Sephora and just swatch all the shades in stores, see how you like the formula, see how you like the different colors. To me, the colors are spot on, but then the formula, half of them are complete misses to me. So I definitely am very on the fence about this palette because I love half of it, and then the other half I just know I won't use unless, yeah, I probably won't use the color correcting shades. I'd probably always just bring my Becca corrector with me and my additional, like I even love this e.l.f. finishing powder that's like $3. This works so much better. It's not powdery compared to a $45 palette powder. So those are all my thoughts on the new Urban Decay Shapeshifter palette. It's definitely a very mixed review. Some of it is awesome, some of it is a complete flop for me, and that really annoys me with this kind of palette because the shades are so perfect for me and the layout and everything is so ideal. So definitely let me know your thoughts about this palette if you plan on getting it in the comments down below. And if you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll talk to you guys soon in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.